All right, so we are live with Morning Tea and Me, and since it's Friday, we're going to add Rob in there. Rob, thank you for joining me.
Of course, brother.
So this is Spoiler Friday. I think that's maybe just what I might call it. It's just Spoiler Friday, where we talk all the new shows that have come out, and so we've got Kenobi, episode 5, part 5, which it did not disappoint at all. It was like, I was watching this, I was like, oh my God, that just kind of, it's like, it just kind of confirmed all of the things that we were like, oh, okay, it's got to be this, or it's got to be that. And we kind of, oh my gosh, yeah, it was really cool. And I think it also, and when we get to this, I'll bring it up, that it makes sense as to, there was a comment that was made, makes sense of why she survived, the Grand Inquisitor survived, and Qui-Gon died.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that was so cool. That was so cool. And then, of course, we're going to talk. I don't know how much time we're going to spend on it, but the very dismal episode of what do you
Strange
call it?
New Worlds.
I was actually going to say Orville.
Or Orville, which was also.
Yeah. And then Strange New Worlds. And we're going to kind of rehash Strange New Worlds from last week because of a comment that was put on YouTube. Not a bad comment. In fact, the guy made some pretty good points. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to rewatch this. And he sent a 70-point plan. And so I rewatched it and made comments of my own.
And I will say this, like we have talked about this for the past couple of weeks. We've done this. We want that engagement. We want that discussion. So it's not that we're attempting here to change people's minds or, to blast anybody, but this is a discussion, right? Discussion is, we're from one point of view, he's from another. We're both trying to see it equally. This is not, and I don't even want to call it a rebuttal. This is our observations after watching the show with his perspective from his first watch.
Right.
We talked about it a lot this week. We'll go through it. He had some really valid points, and he had some points that we'll dive into as well.
Yeah. So, so moving forward, if you have not watched the newest episodes of Kenobi, Strange New Worlds, or Orville, just turn around and watch this later.
Pause this.
So you have been warned. In fact, I wonder if it's still.
I was going to say, you should have that spoiler graphic I made.
I do, but I think it's under. No, it's under a different. I wonder if I could change it mid.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go. I just changed it mid, but see, this is the one. Yeah, spoiler.
There it is.
There we go. So, okay, that's kind of cool that I can change it mid.
Midstream
live. Okay, all right. So, anyone who comes on, please put in the chat who you are. We want to hear from you. There is one eye in the sky from Facebook, but let us know. And I'm going to start encouraging, even when on my normal teas, share this. And if you share it, put in the comments #shared, and then I don't know, I might start giving away shit.
Some magic stuff might show up at your house.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Kenobi, got to start on Kenobi.
Yeah. There's no doubt we have to start on that. So, when we began this journey, you and I both had a very similar outlook on Third Sister.
Yes.
We talked a lot about kind of where we saw her going, what we thought was going to happen, could potentially happen, etc. At this moment in time, will say it all makes sense.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
It does. Absolutely.
We went from angry black woman. where there's elements of I think it was last week when we see, Vader just walk in the room, force choke her and throw her in the air. It's like, ooh, daddy's abusive. So that's how you show your love. It's, you kind of have that from a standpoint of why she's as violent as she is. Now we're finding out a couple weeks later, there's a lot more to it. And it's we get to see her trauma. We get to see her motivations.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of would like to have seen a little bit of that before, but I also understand why we couldn't. Because if we did, it may have taken away. Well, it would have, not may. It would have taken away from her dark side, her struggle.
Right.
Because let's be very clear, she is not a Jedi. She is. We've established she was a youngling.
Mm-hmm.
That she survived Order 66. Part of it was luck. Part of it was, I don't even want to say mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it was expectation that she would become something greater in the Force or whatever. But I loved the fact that it's really revenge that is driving her.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge against Vader.
Right. And I think the story I'm telling myself is the character we see portrayed in the first 2 episodes where she's almost overdoing it with the anger and all that kind of stuff is like she's really trying to put on. It's almost like she's trying to put on an act.
Yeah,
like she's overdoing it, but she still has that drive. Like she's angry at Anakin, Darth Vader, because he's the one that stabbed her in the gut and killed everybody. She thought that he was there to save them.
Yep.
And then she's angry at ObiWan because he wasn't there. And that Anakin was his Padawan. Like, yeah, it makes total sense. So like, absolutely. I'm like, okay, yeah, she was overdoing it in the beginning because she was trying to be, and we don't know how long the third sister had been part of the Inquisitors, but it was one of those where it was like, no, she's like, there was total purpose behind everything that she was doing.
Well, and we also, which we've talked about before and was never really confirmed, but so Grand Inquisitor is a title. You can earn it. So the idea would be third sister also being a title that you can earn, or third brother, or whatever. She grew up through the ranks, and it's through her viciousness that she achieved this title, and she's gunning for Grand Inquisitor because that puts her next to one of her targets.
Right.
How did she know about Anakin being Vader? Well, now we know because she looked him in the face. She knew who he was and watched him stab her in the gut. So that's how we've identified who all these people are. So, a lot of the outcry in the beginning from a lot of us, myself included, now comes full circle at the end, which you and I have talked about that. We got to really wait till the end to pass judgment on the whole thing.
Right.
And while we're not at the end, we're pretty damn close. So I get it. It makes sense to me. I totally have bought in now. I expect that once the series is done, whether a second season is still rumored, not confirmed. So we know there were some reshoots done, but no one's actually come out and said the Adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to be continued. So I'm expecting this right now to be finished. When it's complete, I am going to go back before I watch the last episode and literally rewatch the entire run.
Oh, absolutely.
Watch it start to finish, see the whole story, and appreciate for the whole arc. But, I loved the fact that Obi-Wan tried. He tried the redemption. He tried the we can work together. We'll be buddies. And she was like, no, fuck you too. This is your fault too. I'm not. No, we're not doing this together.
Right.
I might kind of work towards the same goal, but I'm not working with you. And I sent it to you in a message. I want to point out the amazing shot of Vader pulling down the transport ripping off the fucking doors. I saw that immediately. Was like, oh, Star Killer, video game reference.
Yeah.
That was his secret Padawan. He'd do that in the game. But to watch Vader just walk up single-handed, boom, grab that out of the sky, holding it while they're trying to eject, pulling it down, ripping the doors off, and lo and behold, nobody's there. And then poof, off goes the other one. Brilliant ploy by ObiWan. Beautifully shot, beautifully done, displaying the amazing power that Vader really has. I thought this whole episode was a win from the beginning to the end. I really did. I don't have any complaints about it, to be honest.
There was a meme that I saw, and let me see if I actually saved it. There was not really a meme, more of just kind of a graphic, because they did it was a side-by-side. No, I didn't save it. It was a side-by-side of like Vader standing, watching the hyperspace, and then you see right next to it a screenshot of
Anakin.
No, not of Anakin, but of Ahsoka standing in the last episode. Her standing there watching, and then her pulling the ship, trying to keep Maul from leaving, pulling the ship down, and him pulling the ship, and her with 2 sabers and him with 2 sabers. And it was like, it was almost trying to parallel it.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I thought, just a really, really, really good.
And I like it. Why I assumed you were talking about Anakin. I liked the juxtaposition that they did with, we bounce back to the battle, which is happening between Obi-Wan and Anakin, or Vader in this moment. We see Padawan Anakin, and that's where he starts. He's looking out. Now, I didn't quite notice it, and when I was reading one of the articles, they were like, hey, if you zoom in a little bit, Anakin's sitting there looking out over the cityscape. What he's looking out at is Padme's apartment complex, basically. He's pining after her in those moments. But to watch this battle back and forth, that if you overlay it to the current story arc, their lightsaber battle is matching and mirroring the current story arc. Anakin's getting the upper hand. Anakin is stronger. Anakin is powerful. Anakin's pounding away at Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's, losing this battle. He loses his weapon.
Yeah.
You've lost, Master. Admit defeat. You've lost your weapon. Obi-Wan keeps fighting, and he comes through, and to hear him, and I can't remember the line right now, but to hear him like, your drive to win, it clouds your judgment or something like that.
Yeah.
We see that then happen with really with the ship being pulled down. It's like, I got him. Boom, rip it open. What? Oh yeah. You thought that was it? Nah, we went this way. So right. I liked a lot of what they did visually, artistically, with the writing, the acting, everything. This episode, I really feel this one hit every single point it needed to hit. Watching the Grand Inquisitor walk out and going, and mocking her, whatever he said, congratulations, Grand Inquisitor, or lay here and die, whatever it was,
right.
And take the pin off. I'm like, didn't think you were dead, didn't see your body, and God, you're a dick. That's perfect. Because he is in Rebels, and this was him back, and I'm like,
yeah,
this all makes sense. Vader knew from the get-go.
Yeah. And
set you up for his own goals. So right. You get to see the deviousness of the Sith Order, of Vader, and his continuance to try and kill the Anakin side of himself, and really how powerful he is. I want Hayden Christensen to have a Darth Vader miniseries. He wants it. We all want it.
That still reminds me of that one scene. It's like you want a Vader miniseries. The whole saga is about you. At least the first six. At least the first six.
Which is true, but what we don't get, right? So, and I'm going to jump on my prequels bandwagon real fast. Right. Hated the casting, hated the acting, hated the character in the prequels. It was because of Clone Wars that we actually got more about Anakin that made sense and really built it up. It was because of Rogue One that we got to start really seeing Vader at his peak, and some very viciousness. Now it's kind of becoming the norm of like, oh yeah, we forgot this guy was a super badass.
Yeah.
So because Marvel has been telling some really good Darth Vader stories in their comic book series, I want to see some of that come to fruition where he is hunting down some of these old Jedi Masters. He is hunting down enemies of the Empire that are very powerful. I want to see those stories, even if it's one shots, whatever, because I still feel, obviously, right, comic books versus cartoons versus live action, but I still feel we are missing a lot of that visceralness and the ability and power that Vader has, or Anakin has, to really give more credence to why ObiWan was like, but you were the chosen one. Well, in the 3 movies, we're kind of like, you're an emo prick. Like, you suck, die. But because the cartoons we see more, and now we're really seeing it in a live action standpoint, and I want more. I want that.
I would vote for that. The God, what is it?
The Lando series.
Instead of having it like a limited 6-part series or 8-part series or whatever, how about an episodic?
Yeah.
Like one story could feed into another one, but it's like, in this episode, we're going after, this potential rebel cell.
Oh yeah.
Or, I don't know. I was like, that would be an interesting, like, you could just watch it and it would just be a one-off episode.
Well, and you think about the power that he's got, right? And you think about all the resources he has at hand. This is a guy that, with the exception of Palpatine, is the most powerful person in the known galaxy.
Yeah.
And even in the comic books, there are times he's walked in and just single-handedly destroyed an entire army. I mean, just cuts them down, throws shit at them, pulls building down, throwing them off cliffs. I want to see that visceral nature overlaid with kind of what we got this episode, with that struggle to kill the Anakin side in him, the Jedi side in him, the light side in him. Because I think it would be great as a character development, but I agree 100%. It should be episodic. You can have a 2-part here and there, but give me 8 single episodes of an hour of nothing but Vader walking in and just being a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Being a badass. We can have some lightsaber battles in there. We can have, Inquisitor training background bullshit, but I want to see Vader being Vader. Being the reason why when we then go back and watch episodes 4, 5, and 6, we go, ooh, that's why he is feared so much. He's not just the dude in black armor. He's the dude that's already gone through and decimated armies single-handedly. He has destroyed things and crushed people, and his tales have gone across the galaxy. Like, I would love to see, and I think it'd be a good segue to a Lando series. I would love to see some guys sitting in a bar talking about, hey, did you hear? Hear what? Yeah, that Vader, or get his name wrong. That Dark Vader. I heard that guy. He's all clad in black, and I heard he landed on the planet and totally destroyed. Blah 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 blah. Right. And you just see this. You see the truth happening, but you're hearing this tale through these guys. You start understanding that, sometimes the best way to get fear out is to let those stories build, right? And I would love to see something where it pans back and there's Lando sitting back there going, well, it's not as bad as you think it is. And it's Darth Vader, or whatever. I mean, I think then it comes up, episodes of Lando Calrissian, as told by Lando Calrissian, but I'd like to see something different than a single story, 6-episode, 8-episode extended movie. I think an episodic would be great.
Yeah. The line that I really, really liked was when she's been stabbed. Yep. I love how basically, like, Darth Vader stabs her the exact same way that he did when he came into the Jedi Temple.
And you see it shot for shot.
And you see it like flash back and forth. And it's just like, that's just, the past, recreating itself. And then you see the Grand Inquisitor come in, and she killed him the same way, pretty much almost killed him the same way that or attempted to kill him the same way that Qui-Gon was killed. And
similar movements. If you look at the way that she was sliding around, moving around, very similar fighting style at the time.
And he's like, it's nothing like that bit of revenge to keep your will, to keep yourself alive. And of course, so I'm almost wondering, and I don't want to squirrel off too much, but with that, it's like, okay, that's how he survived.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she survived. And so would this be them channeling their anger to do force healing on themselves? Okay. But also it explains why Qui-Gon didn't survive, because he did not have that anger type of revenge will to live in him.
Yep. No, I think it's I don't know if I want to call it force healing or if I just want to call it force survival. Because we go to Darth Maul and we know Maul gets sliced in half. We talked about plenty of times. Sliced in half, throw down an air shaft, lands in junk, and instinctually his drive for revenge and life pulls all the metal around, cauterizes the wound. Well, the wound's already cauterized, but rebuilds him into this giant spider monster that he's fixed by magic later. But what I liked here is she's not dead. He's left her to die.
Right.
When he said that, my first thought was, her drive for revenge against you, her drive for revenge against Obi-Wan is going to keep her alive and push her forward more, but it's going to push her more towards the dark side. So it's like, so now you've said, I knew your plan. You didn't get one over on me. I let you do what you needed to do. I lied to you about all this stuff, but I just proved to you that at any point in time, I can do it again. Is he pushing her now to become more of a loyal soldier, loyal Sith to him? Because now there's that fear, and she's going to try and strive to become stronger and fight against him again? Or is it, got to kill Obi-Wan, earn my place again? Or is it, no, fuck you, and I'm out? I mean, there's a lot of ways it could go I'm interested in, but I liked that you watch her struggling, crawling and grabbing onto her lightsaber is really the last scene we see of her, showing she's still going to fight on, right? Or she dies with her lightsaber in her hand. Either way is, it's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, right?
I don't think she's going to die, because the other thing that she finds is that communication node that has
the clippets about the kids.
Yeah. And so it's like, I think we're going to go back to Tatooine, and I think that there might be a final battle between her and Obi-Wan.
Possibly. And you and I talked about this, and I can't remember if we did it on the show or if we did it on one of our conversations offline about the possibility of running a similarity between the Obi-Wan Darth Maul from Rebels and third sister and Obi-Wan here, where it's that there's that relief of, is it true? Are they the children of prophecy, the twins of prophecy? It is. And he dies, so is that going to be something similar here? Does she magically somehow become obsessed with killing Luke, or is it she wants to protect him, or is it she just wants to kill Obi-Wan? She's going to use that as a ploy, just like she did with Leia, but it didn't work out. I mean, there's a lot of questions, and I like that. I like that there's a lot of open-endedness to it, and I still really hope at this point that we do have a second season. And we get some more to it, because I can see why it would be, why it would be necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I fully enjoyed that episode. And yes, before the next episode, I'm going to go back and watch them all.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because it's a different perspective now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really go back and go, even though I know what's happening, you watch it with that understanding of, oh, wait a minute, I have this nugget now. Oh, that's why. Oh, and we'll catch more anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So from the best, let's go to the worst. Orville this week. All right, so we've
Lisa had to wake me up during the episode because she's like, "Don't fall asleep. If I have to watch this shit, so do you."
I had to walk away multiple times. This is hands down the worst episode of Orville, all seasons included, that I have seen.
Yeah.
This was, in a lot of ways, a blatant ripoff of a lot of Star Trek episodes. And you and I both could sit here and go down a long laundry list of ones that did it well.
Yeah.
This was not it. I have nothing good to say about this episode at all. I don't. I really don't. I tried to kind of come in and go, well, this was cool. I think the only moment that I thought was kind of genuine, but I still really don't like it, is when that new ensign, whose name still escapes me, starts bitching at well, Isaac, he could be lying to us, and he could be this, and he could be that, and he's the traitor, and he's the... Shut the fuck up and do your orders. I mean, why is nobody put her back in her place and been like, hey, take your racism, or xenophobia, or whatever you want to call it, out of the job. You can hate the guy all day, but I didn't ask your opinion. He outranks you. Shut up. Like,
Lisa can't stand her character. She's like, why is she still on the show? I was like, well, because her name is in the credits.
Yeah, and it's not guest appearance. I don't feel like it. I feel like they're adding this in. We talk about the wokey woke stuff, right? And I don't put this in that category, but I feel like it is a blatant statement on racism, which I that's fine. Let's talk about it. But it's almost unrealistic. And it comes at moments that make no sense. We're trying to save the crew, and why are you going to immediately be like, it must be a ploy? Okay, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Nobody asked you. You're not looking at the data. You're flying a ship. Like, why are you going to comment on scientific data that you don't even have access to just because you hate a guy? So I hope at some point they really rip this girl a new one.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to happen because she is the quintessential racist character, and we're going to play with this trope as long as we can. And probably by the end of the season, all of a sudden it's like, well, Isaac saved my life, so I guess he's not that bad. But it's.
Yeah, that would be.
I'm going to step off my soapbox because I could probably spend about an hour just ripping this episode, and there's no point. It just wasn't good. It wasn't bad. Let me be very clear. It's not that it was bad. The acting was good. The writing was fucking basic at best. It's gotten so far away from what Orville was. And as I said, literally ripped off a multitude of Star Trek episodes, compressed it all into one, and it just felt 100% disingenuous. It just really did.
What is it? The high school.
Mm-hmm.
When they come out of the woods, we see the high school. I'm like, oh, it's Degrassi High.
Yep. And it probably was. That's probably the Easter egg. I'm like, oh my God, man. Can we? And why if you're going to do something like that, I was waiting, right? I really was, because I still have hope for the series, and I'm going to still watch it because, whatever. Yeah. But I had hoped somebody was, Gordon of all people was going to go, the hell is Degrassi High doing here? I mean, just something. Everyone goes, what? Right. Oh, old Earth show. Never mind.
Yeah.
No, we don't get any real goofy references. We don't get any. The fact that he's getting picked on by these guys, and all of a sudden an ogre shows up,
right,
or a troll, or whatever you want to call it, and anyway,
yeah.
Not my favorite episode.
No, not at all. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't that good. No.
I mean, hey, listen, if you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on YouTube, and you loved the episode, please tell me why. Because
we'd love to hear your comments. In fact, Young did show up early on in the show and said hi. So
Young, if you're watching this again, brother, we're praying for your dad. I hope everything's going okay, man. I'll reach out to you this weekend and touch base.
Yeah, he had posted a couple times that his dad's not doing well, but there's another guy who's not doing well. I don't know if you know his name. And I want to say I've met him in person. I think I have met him in person. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say I have met him in person a couple different times. But he posted the other day on Don Recipito, Recupito, Don Recupito. Trying to find that's him.
Okay. No, I don't know who he is, but I'll definitely
yeah, so he's part of Jim's camp. I see him, anyway, so he posted the other day. He says, I'm still alive, everyone, but my time is getting close to going to final laying place. It could be days or weeks yet. So I don't know if he has cancer or what, but apparently I guess he's really sick. And I know everybody's kind of been reaching out and being like, hey, sorry to hear that. We're, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, in fact, I'm trying to think, I probably have met him in Indiana a couple times. I just don't remember.
Right.
Because we probably haven't had a lot of interaction, but yeah, it's just, just losing these old martial artists.
And I think that's one of those things, I've both been in the arts for a very, very long time. It's a lot of these are guys that obviously were not old when we first met them. And
right.
to kind of, watch David Hogan and I talked about it a couple of years ago. We both started around the same age. I was 7, going through martial arts, and a lot of these guys that at the time, I'm like, even in my 20s or teens and 20s, going like, look at these old guys. Now I'm looking around going, shit, I'm the old guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 43, and I'm looking around the audiences at camps and seminars, and I'm like, aside from a handful of people that are my age or close or slightly above, you're how old again? Oh, you're 19. Okay. All right. Oh, you're 22. Yeah. Oh, you want to go drinking? Dude, I hurt. Why do I hurt? Just wait. So it's ironic that it happens, but it's that passing the torch. And that's, I tell, especially the young guys, as you go to seminars, as you go to events, take that time with the older people. Take that time, talk to them, listen to them, respect them, because those are lessons that sometimes information gets lost. It's not intentional. We're not trying to keep secrets, but if you sit there and listen, you'll gather more than if you just go, oh yeah, I saw him at a seminar once. Sit down, talk to them. Almost all of us are friendly people. Every once in a while, you'll find somebody, as Jack used to put it, has got a corn cob shoved up their ass and cat shit underneath their nose. But most of the people around, the guys that you're associated with, the guys I'm associated with, are very open people. So any young martial artists watching this or new martial artists watching this, talk to those guys. Get to know those guys. One
of the fears that I have is like with Jim at saying, hey, I really want you out here.
Yeah.
And of course, the project that we're working on, it makes me think that does he know something about, does he have like a Pike revelation that we don't know about?
I mean, Jack did.
There's so yeah, there's just this. And I did purchase my ticket, so okay. I have tickets out there. So,
and I will say, and guys, I swear to God, if you're watching this, you're like, what the hell? Well, where's the nerdy stuff? We're gonna get back to it in a second, but
yeah, we'll get back to it in a second.
I will say that was one of the things when Jack called me and told me about his cancer diagnosis, and I'd just seen him a couple weeks before. a good friend of mine, because I asked Jack, Jack, what do you need from me? Because I've been around too many people and have been that person that was injured. People like, hey, if you need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
So I found that a lot of times it's genuine, but you're putting the onus on somebody else.
Right.
And so I said, Jack, what do you need me to do? You let me know right now. I'm not going to hang up the phone with you until we talk about this. So what do you need me to do? Do you want me to come up? Do you want me to what? He's like, I want you to come up more. So I talked to my boss. I talked to my wife. I talked to a buddy of mine. And my buddy gave me some of the best advice, and I still hold on to it to this day, which is live with no regrets. And so when I talked to my district manager that literally at the time hated the fact that I did martial arts, denied all vacation requests, all requests, would try and write me up if I did a martial arts seminar for stupid shit. I called him up and said, hey, listen, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. I'm not asking for permission. If you want to write me up or try and fire me, that's fine. You can do that. I will get an attorney and I'll deal with HR, but I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. And he actually didn't push back on it.
Wow.
So for, let's see, October, December, January, for about 6 months, 6 or 7 months. No, it's longer than that. Anyway, six to 8 months, something like that. Every weekend, I would go up on Sunday, and I would spend that time with Jack and Davey and Clara and Amy and Trina and the whole Hogan family. And it wasn't always martial arts, but I've learned so much from that. That's why I kind of made that comment. I didn't want to clarify more of it, but I'll say when I said, Jim says, you're coming, if you need to go, you go. Even if he's in perfect health, there's a respect thing, but it's also that don't live with a regret in case of that, that revelation. And, I had those conversations with a lot of my HKI, well, a couple of my HKI brothers that were also close to Jack. And they're like, oh man, I don't want to be a bother. I'm like, you're not, you need to come out, and I'm here. So you're not alone. Get your ass out here, because you're going to be more upset that you didn't than you are if you did. And it's the same thing here. And I mean, God willing, Jim, if you're watching, brother, just let us know you're fine. But I know he'll be in Georgia in August. I'm trying to, I'm 2 seminars same day, Jim and Davey in Georgia, Bruce Chu and another FMA gentleman in Jacksonville, same time frame. I'm literally torn between my 2 teachers going, oh God, which one do I go to? So I got to try and figure that out. But anyway, that's my, first world problem. But all that aside, Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. So, okay. God, that was so horrible. I try, even when people tell me, oh, hey, it's not my favorite episode, it's not this, it's not that, I try and think, okay, well, let me just make up my own mind. And you had messaged me that it's like wasn't the greatest. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, well, I'll see, and I watch it, and as it goes on and as it goes on and as it goes on, I'm just like, I what the hell is going on in this episode? I couldn't, I mean, I could track it. I could figure out what was going on, but it was just like, it was almost like a filler episode.
Yes.
Like it really was it was an episode just to have an episode. They really, to me, they really didn't continue any type of storyline. The only thing that really was like, oh, that's probably why, is when towards the end, when Spock is telling to Pring to be like, hey, you know what? And he's trying to tell her that he's having an affair, and Chapel's like, nope, we're having an affair.
Yeah.
So she just kind of jumps in, and then they kiss, and you see very convincing kiss. You see the passion of the kiss, and I'm like, and that's when she fell in love with him.
Yep. Well,
that was the moment, because there's those moments where she kind of had there's an attraction, but there's that moment when people, you can just be like, and that's when it happened.
Yeah.
And just like going back to episode 2,
right?
When Anakin is holding his mother and she dies, and I was like, that's the moment he turned to the dark side. That was the moment where he was like, I come to a fork in the road and I went to the left.
Yeah, the ever popular, I killed them. What do you mean you killed them? I killed them all.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that was like, so it was that moment where I'm like, okay, that's where that, and so really for me, that was the only one was like, okay, that was really the only thing. But you know, I don't know. I have so many problems with this episode.
Yeah, but I do want to recognize Nurse Chapel's a badass.
Oh yeah.
So I liked that element of like every time she's on screen, I'm like, okay, now I'm enjoying this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna reference the Pike is an inept captain comment.
Okay.
With this episode, I don't have an argument against that with this episode. I get humanitarian, taking the flagship in 2 days to get permission, blah blah blah, but there was a giant plot hole, and I have to go back and rewatch the episode because my understanding was they picked up the counselor, doctor, or whatever she is. They are, excuse me, because she's the non-binary. Wasn't that a Starfleet assignment? And then it was like, oh, we have to go get the ship because it's torment. Like, something in the beginning got lost in translation for me, and I don't know what it was. Because my thought was, okay, why are you on the ship? Why are we taking you this direction? And now why are we going to disobey an order or regulations from Starfleet not going past this point without permission, but we're going to go past this point for humanitarian, which I got that part. But I have so many problems with sensor data issues, and fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Came to mind a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
When we did it, so last week, right? And there's we imply past histories.
Right.
It was done very well.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Pike, captain's bars look good on you. Yay. Yeah. We've implied a history. Oh, he saved me once in this transport. We've implied a history without giving it. We've said, hey, there was something that happened. You don't need to know exactly what it was. You don't need all the details, but you know there's an existing relationship.
Right.
I've seen it done in other shows and other movies where they go, Corbinite maneuver, cool. Whatever. Janeway maneuver, cool. We don't really know what it is, but they do it, right? And so you understand that it must be some maneuver that Janeway has done. They got named after her, and so now forevermore it's the Janeway maneuver.
Right.
When he looked at her, and I don't remember the terminology, and I apologize because I literally was sitting there half the episode going,
yeah.
God. But when he's like, Belarius Prime? Really? Belarius Prime? Belarius Prime. Okay, Belarius Prime. Okay, what's Belarius Prime? Oh, we're starting a mutiny. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I felt, and I think I said this to you, I felt like this is, take my glasses off. Between not seeing and seeing with them both on, it sucks. Yeah. I waited for this. When the series was announced, I wanted to see what was going to happen, how I was going to feel when we got a bad or weak episode.
Right.
We got one.
Uh-huh.
Still became my favorite Trek.
Yeah.
I still like the cinematography. I still like, again, Nurse Chapel. I developing a strong crush on. I'll just be blunt about it. I'm loving what they're doing with her. I like some of the stuff they're doing. They're still trying to keep it character driven, but this is the first time it's more of an ensemble episode, a fully ensemble episode, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And I hope they learned from it. But when I was looking at some of the other reviews, there are reviews out there. People are like, this is the best episode of New Worlds ever. It heavily leaned on Spock and Muck, and it did this, and it did that, and blah, 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 blah. And, oh, my God, I can't believe that they pulled this off, and they did it in a great way. And this is now my favorite episode. And I'm like, did we not watch the same episode with the "arr" bullshit at the end, and like, you know, we've got the "are they, aren't they," and we've got the very blatant she's probably a bad guy conversation going, and then it's like, oh, she's a bad guy. Yeah. Kind of figured. She's wearing all tight leather black.
Yeah.
Is there any other visual we should have stayed away from to not purposely put her that facial tattoo, skin tight leather, all black? Now, not saying anything bad about that. I'm just saying, come on. We kind of set that up in a very blatant way. So, you know, a lot of misfires on this one. Our buddy, and his name escapes me right now, that commented last one, all the points.
Yeah,
I want to see what you have to say, because I'm probably not going to disagree with any of it.
Yeah, I would love to hear what he has to say. Yeah, the other thing, and I had mentioned this offline, the whole bringing Cybok into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you're legitimizing Final Frontier. I'm okay with that. I actually kind of like Star Trek 5. But you're going to, and I know you had mentioned, and I agree, Nurse Chapel is kind of his confidant.
Right.
Okay. So he's going to share with her some things, but we're sharing this. We're sharing a stepbrother with your confidant. That's fine. But you're never going to let your best friend in the entire world know.
Logically, it just doesn't.
So, I just, and I know it's a little bit of retconning, and a little bit of retconning here and there is fine. And they're trying to, you know, create relationships and say, okay, well, we have this here, and it'll end up being something in the future. And so I'm curious how far this will go.
Yeah. I would actually be okay if we don't see Cybok anymore, or even once more. Like, I thought that was probably one of the highlights of the episode, because it was like, oh, that's fucking random. And I liked it because it took me out of a really bad episode. And because I like Final Frontier, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I groaned. I think I groaned with that more than I groaned with the arr.
Oh no, the pirate. If they cut that out, I've been okay. But I liked it from the standpoint of we're establishing he exists and where. And what has me though is I'm scared how they're gonna build on that. Is he gonna start manipulating T'Pol to some degree, which is why we go forward in time, and you know, we deal with all the stuff we deal with later on. Is that you know, how are they going to handle this character? Or is it literally just that we're just established he does exist? Nurse Chapel knows about it because she's his confidant, and he never brought it up to Kirk because, well, just didn't. Never told him about my sister either. You know, I mean, so like, I get some of it, and I agree. You know, there's an issue there, but I'm just scared if all of a sudden he becomes this like pirate Khan. I mean, not that Khan wasn't really a pirate, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like or messiah figure, well before he's supposed to.
Well, and how many people know that he is the son of Sarek?
Right.
And the brother of Spock. I mean, how many people know that? So, do the people like and are they going to do a cover up like they did with Discovery and you know, Michael Burnham and all that kind of stuff? Are they going to swing that way? Which I kind of hope that they don't. I mean, that's
the Alpha directive. It's not the Omega directive. It's the Alpha directive. If you got a relative that you don't want anymore, the Federation steps in and says, hey, we delete everything because you're a high ranking diplomat. Don't worry, we got you, brother.
Right. Yeah,
I just finished that episode and I had to dig at it. I fucking hate that episode. I hate that episode.
Yeah, the Omega Directive from Voyager is just absolutely. That was horrible.
Sorry, not to squirrel the conversation.
Yeah,
but no, I we do see the Orion. Okay, so just horrible character acting.
Yeah.
Just
and with the Orions, I mean, it's the I can't remember, what is it, the Orion Syndicate?
Yeah.
Is that how they were running it with? But here's the thing: is that even in Discovery, when we meet Orions, do we meet Orions in not in like in the regular timeline, not in the future? Because I know we run into them in the future, but
we do run into the future because they've got their whole organization post not blip, burn, post the burn. Yeah. I don't think we do.
I know. So we do run into them in Enterprise.
Yeah.
And we see, and I know that, they've changed the design of here and there, but we, yeah, I just don't remember them being like fat and hairy.
And I'm okay with the fat and hairy. Not necessarily. I'm, it is what it is, but fat, hairy, and stupid.
Right.
And these guys are supposed to be, pirating is their culture. And yes, of course, someone's going to say, but every culture's got stupid people. Yeah. Got that. Right. But not this stupid.
Right. And why would he be the only Orion?
Right. Like, he wouldn't have been.
Yeah. There would have been more Orions there.
Unless somebody just says, we find out later online some article, oh, well, he was so stupid that the Orions kicked him out. And he's no longer technically an Orion. He's a man of one and hooked up with his pirate people. And I mean, even the whole crew itself, there's a lot of things. Again, fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, we already had a fool me once moment. Now we have a fool me twice moment. And it's kind of, oh yeah, shit, they wasn't real either. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Why? We're not that stupid, guys. The swerve of the counselor. And listen, I think they did a really good job with pronoun things is hard sometimes. They did a really good job. I thought that they were a really good actor. I liked the portrayal that they did. I wish that they, as in the writers, pronoun things weird. The writers would have done more to make that swerve less obvious from the get-go. But I liked the interactions that they had with Spock in the early on, where it's kind of almost like a flirtation going on, and which we understand later, Cybok. But I liked it kind of like I was married to a Vulcan and blah blah blah, and so there's this emotional connection. It's almost like she is setting him up to then go after Nurse Chapel versus DePaul. And I liked some of those early on interactions, and that's why knowing the swerve was coming, unfortunately, was really not only disappointed, but frustrated that it was like, it wasn't a simple swerve. Like, listen, I'm doing this because of my husband. It was, I've been faking it all. Really? Yeah. We're going to go that far from, very demure, brilliant doctor to arch villain from a 1930s serial. Like, it's just the way they would sit down in the captain's chair and lean.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had you fooled since the moment I got onto this ship. I knew that you. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's when, to me, the episode went from mediocre to straight downhill. Yeah. And then again, because we said it a lot, Pike going, no, stop, no.
Yeah.
No.
I think that was, and I know that, Pike is, a relaxed officer or a relaxed captain. He likes to play, and I think that they were trying to play into that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, no, that didn't really work. That wasn't.
It didn't. And I mean, like I said earlier, I think it was number one that was like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. But I don't know. I always excited for new episodes. So looking forward to next week. But I just, it happens.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a bad episode. And unfortunately, I feel like, correct me if you feel different. I feel like a lot of the positive reviews coming out of this is more in response to the non-binary casting.
So you mentioned that. I like, for me, I could care less that character or that actor, actress, whatever you want to. Yeah. I don't care if he, she, it, they are non-binary or not. It has no bearing on the episode.
It had no bearing on the character.
None. No bearing on the character. No, nothing.
Yeah.
And so,
which I think I had mentioned early on when we had talked about this one point. I can't remember if I was on the show offline or commenting. I hate saying it this way, but I think it was more of a marketing ploy of, because of Pride Month, to kind of say, oh, by the way, this is what we did. If they just said, hey, we got this actress, or actor would be or performer being the neutral term. We got this performer coming on. We're super excited for what they bring. Can't wait for you guys to see them on screen. Okay, cool. But they kind of made a big deal out of it. And unless this character comes back, this has been a one-shot, one and done.
Well, yeah, and one of the things that I have, one of my big problems with the wokey woke world that we're in now is I don't need to know the sexual orientation of the actor playing the character.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a shit. Like, and so like the gal who plays Uhura.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, apparently she's lesbian.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't give a shit. Okay. But I think that if you're going to be like, oh, she's this celebrated lesbian actress who, was on Broadway or whatever, or off Broadway shows or whatever she did, because I know that she's done some big stuff.
Yeah.
But then why don't you just be like, oh, and Anson Mount, who's straight, let's play both sides of that.
Right. But I think there's, I get
like,
it's not going to happen.
I don't understand. I really don't understand the, and maybe it's just because I am a straight white male. I don't understand the necessity for that information because I don't care.
Well, I think that, so I got a guy that I do my radio show with, co-owner of the station, is gay, very out and proud. But I call it balanced. But we've talked about it, and he kind of feels the same way that I do. He's like, there's one thing to celebrate it and be like, this person did a great job, super excited. He's like, but you're not saying, oh, by the way, this is a gay man. He's like, you are what you are, but the problem is right now in our culture, the pendulum swings, right? So for a long time, you call them F and all this other stuff. We're finding that tolerance and the pendulum swing the other way, where it's like, but no, we need to lift all of them up and put all of their sexuality in the spotlight, provided they're not straight. And it does actually take away from the person and take away from their acting ability. Like I said, I thought they were a great actress or actor, or however you want, that character was done very well, except for the end. But that's a writing issue, not an acting issue.
Yeah.
Sexuality means nothing to me. I have friends that are across the spectrum, religiously, politically, sexuality wise. As long as you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. I don't care. None of it else matters to me.
Yeah.
Your life, not mine. I don't have to live your life. You're gay, cool. I'm not. Might not be able to relate. Maybe I can. I found that sometimes you do, but it doesn't matter, right? So unfortunately, in this, my perception also as a somewhat white straight male. So I get it. I should be canceled for saying all this. But you know, I think that we need to get back to, this is this actor, this is this actress, this is this performer, if you want a neutral term.
Yeah.
This is the quality of work they brought. And just like in Star Trek, this again, where I love Discovery and how Discovery has done it. They don't go, oh, by the way, I'm gay. Oh, by the way, this is my husband. It's a relationship that exists. Everyone acknowledges it. And nobody brings up these boxes. We see it. We understand it. But it's not talked about, discussed. What, you know, blue is a gender neutral, non-binary character. It's they this, they that. No one's like, really? She's non-binary. It's just, that's the pronoun. That's what they use, and they move on. We don't throw all of that into a spotlight. Now, should it be addressed from a promotional standpoint to say, hey, listen, we are celebrating, because Trek is about everyone and it's all inclusive. We are celebrating these actors and actresses, sure, but I think that you can take that a little bit too far. And again, in some of these reviews that I've read, it spent more time talking about how the episode was so groundbreaking because you have a non-binary lead in a classic Star Trek show. And I'm like, but you have no idea if you've had that before or not.
Right.
Because for a long time, we just didn't talk about it. You know, I just found out, obviously not that it was a secret, Kevin Conroy, voice of Batman. I didn't know he was gay. He did this whole thing in a DC comic book magazine talking about his struggle and through what his life leading up to literally him getting the role of Batman, and how he was able to become and fully understand and encapsulate the character because of really these two masks that he wore, the gay man and the actor, and his personal struggle with his brother and his father, who was an alcoholic, trying to kill himself, and you know, all that. He was able to compare these two characters. It was very moving. It was very touching, and I feel like, you know, if we do that with Trek, we've got George Takei. He's got a story, right? We've got other actors and actresses and performers that have stories that would be similar, but do we need to throw up 3 weeks in advance? Guess what? Paramount Plus is bringing you non-binary actor so-and-so playing in Star Trek Strange New Worlds because we're woke. I mean, that's how it came across.
Yeah.
I think it does, again, a disservice to the actress or the performer, or what do you want to say? I think it does a disservice to the quality. And it then in turn skews the reviews of the episode, because people don't want to get canceled. People can cancel me and be like, Mish, this guy's a dick. Okay, well, I'm still your friend and you still have me on.
Yeah.
You know, don't watch, don't read, don't whatever. I get frustrated with that a little bit, but I don't know. I think they took it marketing wise a little bit too far. Like I said before, because of Pride Month. If the episode aired in July, August, September, would it have been the same type of advertisement? I don't think it would have.
No, I agree with you on that one.
So I got on my soapbox for longer than I meant. Sorry, folks.
That's okay. That's okay.
Overall,
okay.
Week episode. Moving on.
Yeah. So to rehash last week's episode just a little bit, because we've been talking about it. I can't remember the guy's name. I apologize if you're watching.
I'm gonna look it up real quick while we're talking, because I meant to write it down and I forgot.
Yeah. So he had posted, because there was like, okay, well, you know, he had mentioned that Uhura was, you know, basically committed manslaughter, and that Pike was an inept captain, and we're like, okay, and he made some and it was basically, I'd only watched the episode once. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and rewatch the episode, try to take on this guy's perspective. And he posted what he called real-time reactions.
Michael Strathmore, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I'm not throwing you under the bus, brother. Sorry, that's what it says on YouTube. But Michael, thank you for your interaction.
Yeah, because it's interesting. So like, and I can't, and he had prefaced this, so I don't know if this was something that he had watched, that it was something prior, or his real-time reactions rewatching the episode,
right?
Or this was real-time watch. The perspective I got is that this was his real-time reaction watching it the first time. Like for me, I will watch an episode the first time to watch and enjoy the episode, and then there'll be like, oh, well, that was kind of odd. I wonder why that happened. And then I will go back and then pick the shit of, pick the episode apart.
Right.
So I watched the episode last night. I had wanted to watch it earlier, but I watched it last night. And so, and the going through this. So his real-time reactions, Pike references the Magellan system, and I admit that it isn't jogging memory. Either I have too many cobwebs clouding up my brain, or it isn't a well-known system. Okay, legitimate. When I was thinking, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is a system we've been before. It sounds familiar, but it's not. It was established. Okay. 10 years ago, Pike was nearly killed on a rescue mission. Maybe this was from the beta canon from a novel. Trying to do my quick math to determine if Pike was the first officer on the Enterprise 10 years ago. Okay. So why are we bringing up beta canon or a novel? Why can't it just be established in the episode that it happened 10 years ago?
Which is kind of what they did. Right.
Which is exactly what we did. And then trying to think that he was the first officer on the Enterprise 10 years ago. Now, when we were introduced to the Enterprise, I mean, it was already established that Pike, or that Spock served with Pike for like 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Enterprise was at least 14 years old when Kirk took it over. And then in the comic, or in the animated series, it was April was a captain for just a couple years. So in the time of Enterprise, or in the time of Kirk's Enterprise, the Enterprise is 16, 17 years old. Okay. Now, I think in the first episode it wasn't said outright, but it was implied that Pike was Robert April's first officer. Mm-hmm. Was that on the Enterprise? Wasn't said. Yeah. I don't read a lot of the novels, or really, I think.
I just looked up
novels total, yeah. But it wasn't. For maybe his mind goes there, maybe other people's minds go there. My mind didn't go there. So
I just looked up real quick on Memory Alpha, Pike's service history. So he would have been on one of three ships, because it doesn't give the order. But he could have been on the Antares, the Chatelet, the Arabata, and before being assigned, those are the ships he served on, before being assigned to Enterprise as April's first officer. So you're not going to go to a first officer as a lieutenant. You'd probably be a commander. So I would assume,
or even a lieutenant commander,
because, right?
Because it actually introduces number one as lieutenant commander.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I would assume probably one of the three ships before, and I don't know the order of service, obviously, but one of those three ships before.
Right.
But does it matter?
Yeah. Let's see. Distress shuttle from a non-Federation shuttle under attack. So much for less eventful cartography mission. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's okay. Yep. Ensign Shaker at communications. Maybe the other ensign is still being punished for Enterprise bingo. I didn't even go there. I just saw a guy at the communication station. Okay. Look, I understand that Uhura is on rotation with other departments, but in a real world scenario, when the Enterprise is being fired upon, it is negligent for the security officer not to relieve her duties and assume her post. Not necessarily.
Correct.
Not having been in the military, I don't know how they do it in the military, but I've been told otherwise, that it's just like, no, they get to do it. Mm-hmm. Real life, when we're working in security, it's like, no, you've been trained. Now you get to do it in a real situation.
With your CO typically being right there, or manager, whatever you want to call it, right there.
Yeah. And visually, when Uhura was at the security station, La'ana was standing right next to her. Okay. All right. Let's see. 6. Exactly. Sai. With Uhura still manning the post, she misses and causes more damage to the ship than intended. She also blames the fact that the target, quote, changed course right in front of our weapons, unquote, despite the fact that visuals show the craft not remotely doing that whatsoever. Uhura is a bad shot and let's see, as a bad shot as well as bad liar. Okay, so this is actually one of the things that I was like, okay, if memory serves, he's not wrong. She committed manslaughter. Okay, but I rewatched it. The ship fires upon the Enterprise. Mm-hmm. The Enterprise is going to fire back. So the ship is chasing after another ship. The ship in front's like, help us. And then this ship, after they're like, hey, could you not do that?
Right.
What's going on? Give us more information. They shoot at the Enterprise. Enterprise is like, guess what? We're going to shoot back, but we're just going to graze you, take out their impulse engines or whatever he said. Now, because they shot like twice. The second time they fired like 3 or 4 shots, and it rocks the Enterprise. So when you talk about visuals, the outside visuals, the Enterprise is pretty stationary, and this ship is kind of stationary. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a big overt, like I'm going to swing in, but when they that second volley of fire, you have your typical everybody sway to the left, everybody sway to the right, and Uhura gets pushed up against the controls. And then the Enterprise fires. So of course she's a bad shot. She wasn't focusing. She was like, the ship was rocked up, like the Enterprise rocking. She was thrown into the controls. So of course she missed. Yep. Duh. And she inadvertently just, she cut through the middle of the ship. Well, maybe that ship shouldn't have shot a bunch of, they got injured. Basically the ship was shot down under their own their consequences caused that.
Yeah.
Like they shot, we fired upon. So it would be a total accident. And it would not surprise me that there is some type of rule where it's like, we understand.
Right.
Exigent circumstances. I'm getting I can't pronounce the first word. Anyway,
extenuating
circumstances. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So not completely wrong. I mean, yes, she did kill some people, but it wasn't because she was a bad shot or she wasn't trained right. It was because of the ship rocked back and forth. I mean, it happens.
And like I said to you offline, I still feel someone needs to file a complaint against the design team for Federation to say, hey, listen, there's no safety locks on this in case we get rocked over and I accidentally slide my hand across the pad. And that might be why we go away from touchscreens to buttons.
Ooh, there we go. We
can't have that accidental discharge anymore.
And then, of course, the seat belts, the seat belts that show up in the motion picture.
Right, because you get thrown around. Too many head injuries. Get a seat belt.
Let's see. So the shuttle was being fired upon, has asked for immediate evacuation. All is well and good, but what about the other craft that's falling towards the planet after Uhura blew them to smithereens? Is anyone remotely concerned that the Enterprise is just letting them potentially fall to their doom? with so little information as to why this conflict is taking place, might it not behoove the Enterprise to resolve this as peacefully as possible? No, I'm totally getting the purpose of, they shot at us, we shot back, we, basically cut their ship in half and they're falling. I'm going to focus on the people. Like, obviously they're like, to me right in the moment, they're the bad guys,
right? And
they're the good guys.
Well, and we also have
established.
We have that distress signal. They asked for help. We tried to help. These guys fired on us. We didn't ask them to. We didn't cause a problem. We just showed up and they shot at us. We shot back.
Yeah. And I don't know if I had mentioned it, when Uhura was at the station, her supervisor, Liana, was standing right next to her.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to her. Okay. Let's see. I wonder which lesson it is on Singh's list that teaches cadets the importance of accompanying captains and first officers to the transporter room when receiving unknown alien species to the ship. Okay. That's a legitimate question. Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. Pike and the first officer just go, and because they didn't know who they were beaming aboard. So that's a legitimate question. I applaud that. Okay. So Alora, no idea who this is. Again, maybe from a novel. My comment was why does it have to be from a novel? Why can't it just be introduced in the episode? Which is what it was. Gotta love number one asking, you know her, Captain? Nope. This is what he says, quote unquote, you know her, Captain, ? Nope. These two are clearly just meeting one another for the first time, Una. Bless her knuckle-headed heart. Okay. Did he not get the tone that it was set in? Like, that's actually real conversation. She was surprised because she didn't know who they were shooting on. And it was one of those where it's like, you know her, Captain? And he's like, yeah, actually, we kind of do. Like, it was actually, her tone was an inquisitive, like, and be like an inquisitive surprise. Because how many times have you been with somebody and you're like, oh, there's a person I've never met before. I'm assuming that this person has never met them before, but then your friend knows that person. And you either you say it in your head or you say it aloud and you're like, oh, you know them? Yeah, of course I know them. This is how we met. It's called that actually was a pretty good real conversation there. Yeah. Oh my, quite a bit of sexual tension going on here. Aloha, Alora. Okay, whatever.
That was supposed to happen, right? You're supposed to establish that there was a romantic or lustful connection previously. You saved me before, you saved me again. So there's an implication that there's something there.
Yeah. Pike asking if the boy is this man's father seems inappropriate, but I'll allow it. Seems like a clunky way for the scene not to tell us the dynamics of three Magellans. Family, coworkers, maybe we can sex stare at one another after we discern why they're being fired upon. No, he's just trying to figure out the relationship. Yeah. Like, I don't think it was inappropriate at all.
No, because you going back to the original piece, right? So you just beamed over three unknowns.
Yeah.
And you realize one. So you and I talked about this previously off air, but so you have two elements, right? So you have the first one is establishing the relationship of the people on your ship right here, right now. Who are you? Who's the kid? The other one is also a personal piece, or can be implied, where Pike's almost kind of going, whose kid? Is this your kid? Like,
yeah.
Because I kind of was like, so it's, I didn't find it inappropriate. I found it, I think the example I gave you was if I came over to your house and I brought a mutual female friend and I brought her kid, for whatever reason, you and I haven't talked for a while, haven't seen each other for a while. I show up, you're probably gonna go, your kid? Whose kid? Whatever. Because there's that implement. You're just, without being rude would have been like, holy shit, you have a kid. Yeah. No, it's not mine. Oh, is it yours then? Whose kid is it?
Yeah.
Now we're being rude, not just, so what's your relationship to this child, you know, or whatever the line was. I didn't find it. I found it trying to
again the tone.
Yeah,
it was an inquisitive tone. Let's see. Mbega is reading with his kid again. She miraculously survived the repeated loss of transporter systems across a few episodes. I'm still bitter that these writers couldn't have found some way to get this kid fly fishing with her dad last week. Yes, I am aware that she can't survive long outside the pattern buffer, but it is such a missed opportunity by the doctor to not transport her to the lake for a few minutes. Just because Mbanga has his daughter transported on a timer doesn't mean it shouldn't be regulated sick bay. So it was established early on, because we talked about this offline. Yep. It was established early on that the transporter system is on a different system. Mm-hmm. And because it's medical, it's probably got its own generators, and it is a completely different system. So,
and that's also established when was it Horden, I think is his name, or Hordar or whatever. Comes in and Mbega gets all upset. Like, what are you doing? He's like, there's a lot of excess power being directed over here, and we gotta check why. He's like, no, it's for the transporter. We're supposed to. He's like, yeah, I know that, but it's more than it should be. So he's kind of gone in, and we kind of determined early on that he's gone in. He has redirected energy resources. He's redirected a lot of stuff, so he has multiple backups on this to protect his daughter.
Right now,
who's a secret.
I was like, they don't know she's there. That's my comment. Yeah. That's why now, actually, it would have been a great father-daughter moment. Sure. I think it would have been great, but nobody knows, I can't say nobody.
Right.
Most people know she doesn't exist. She's being kept a secret. So he can't just take her on a flight, on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
Which I agree. It would have been nice, but it does not fit within the storyline of her being a secret.
And it's like you and I had talked about, right? There's a visual that would be absolutely beautiful, right? Very touching. He's finally taking leave, and he's holding his daughter's hand as they walk off. The problem is the dialogue following that would have been like, why did you steal someone's kid, and what are you going to do with her? It would not have been seen good, because nobody is supposed to know, right? We know Pike's aware of it. We now know this kid, who unfortunately is now dead, knows of it. But it is a guarded secret, and it's a secret that, as you and I think talked about, could be why Bones takes over that role.
Because they find out that he gets in trouble. Yeah. So that could be very well it. Let's see. Is it me, or does Alora's eye ridges remind somebody of E.T.'s eye sockets?
No.
I mean, now reading that and watching it, I could be like, oh, well, I kind of see it, but no, that wasn't the first thing that went through my head.
No.
And the more I looked at it, the less I saw it. So, I mean, there was one scene when they're in the ready room, but other than that, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No. Seems a little ridiculous that this first servant, 2 days from ascending to the throne, wouldn't have better security around him from Magellan's. Starting to think that Alora and her people aren't too clever. Perhaps this is why she repeatedly needs rescuing. Okay, good point.
100%. You have 100% on the money.
Yeah, absolutely. He's traveling from this place where I guess he's been doing studies or preparing for this ascension, and now it's just you and his father. There's nobody
don't worry, kid. We'll get this. We'll get through this on our own.
Great observation.
Yeah.
Singh confirms that the ship the Enterprise did not, or let's see. Singh confirms that the ship the Enterprise shot down did indeed crash. Wow, I was hoping maybe they'd just be adrift in space, but nope. Uhura got done them good, and Pike just allowed them to plummet to their deaths, despite not wanting to harm them when he ordered Uhura to fire. Pike didn't even try and save them. Once again, we see that Pike is a bad captain.
It's not his duty to save them.
Yeah, like he
they're not members of the Federation. They attacked. He attacked in self-defense. The fact that he sent his people down regardless on somewhat of fact-finding. Now, if they found, here's where I will agree. If they found survivors and then shot them or found them and were like, they're hurt, fuck them.
Yeah.
Got it. But it was a security issue, and they've already established, these people that needed help. They've been attacked by rebels.
Right.
There's no need to.
So, and then Alora looks straight at Pike at the and actually he says that their job is to investigate. So yeah, so we shot him down. We found the ship. We're going to go investigate. Alora looks at Pike straight in the eyes and says, "I'm coming to, with or without your cooperation." Suddenly starting to get the feeling that Pike has heard her say this before. Yeah, that was kind of odd that she said that.
Yeah.
But also, Alora is literally on the Enterprise and can't go anywhere without Pike's permission, despite her brave words to the contrary. Yeah.
I don't disagree. I mean, again, he probably has heard it before and just didn't want to fight it.
Yeah.
And we see that relationship sometimes in the past where it's, whether it's Janeway, I'm leading this mission, and Chakotay's going, you're not supposed to, and so I don't care, I'm going anyway. So it's kind of trying to establish that character trait, right? That strong character trait. But you're right, she really actually needs his permission to go. I mean, it's it's like, I'm going, Yeah.
While Nurse Chapel is handling my least favorite character thus far in the show, I have to admit seeing her summon the Doctor from his private daddy-daughter time does help explain why she's often the one seen to be running things in sickbay. Perhaps she's been covering for M'Benga for some time now. So, obviously not that's how hospitals work. Mm-hmm. They're run by the nurses. The doctors are there to, the nurses do everything. Actually, in fact, there's a lot of stuff that nurses used to do that now they have techs do.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's the nurses that run the department, the sick bay, whatever, the ER, whatever you call it. That's actually real life. The doctor is just there to prescribe the drugs, to do the surgeries, to give their expert opinion, but it's the nurses that run everything. So
here's what
that may just be information that he doesn't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'll say this. Even if you look back at the Trek, right? Lower Decks does a really good job of establishing how many nurses are in sickbay, in different episodes. But previously, we don't really see it. A lot of it is McCoy. A lot of it is Dr. Crusher. A lot of it, so you get, because it's a main character, right? It's a TV series, so it tweaks it. But to your point, and as an individual that's been in a lot of hospitals, I will say 100% is the nurses. You've got the techs, then you have the nurses, and they're kind of vie for position of who's more important. Then you have the resident nurse head. Then you have, on top of that, you've got nurse practitioner. Then you have doctors. I see my nurses, when I've been in the hospital for leg surgery, whatever I've been in for, I saw my nurses regularly. They gave me my updates. Here's when your med schedule is. Here's how your rehabilitation is going to go. Doctor would come in. Hey, buddy, feeling okay? Everything good? All right. Well, we're going to get you out of here as soon as we can. Thanks. That was $160 for a 3-minute conversation. He's billing me for an hour. And that's on the low end, right? So that's the doctor's role. So yes, she is going to run it more. I'm curious to know why you don't like the character.
Yeah.
I really like the character portrayal. If we're talking TOS, I wasn't fully sold on the character. I didn't have anything wrong with her. I like this version of Nurse Chapel a lot. And I'm just curious why so Michael, if you're watching, man, let me know why it's not your favorite character. I'm interested on your opinion on that one.
Yeah. Let's see. Daddy Servant Dude is a grumpy jerk, explaining that the healing begins at a subatomic level for First Servant. If only there was another child in sickbay that needed some subatomic level healing. Oh, well. Okay, so that's why M'Benga is asking the questions that he's asking. Yes, I'd like him to be a little bit more upfront, but his kid's a secret. So that's why he's like, okay, hypothetical. Yeah. So that's why he's asking the questions that he's asking. M'Benga says this is a state of the art medical facility, with a transporter and all of its auxiliary bay and everything. Okay, that was an odd comment.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a comment, because I read it a couple times. I don't know if he's trying to comment and say yes, it is state of the art because it has a transporter and auxiliary bay, or if he's like it's being sarcastic.
I don't know what that point is.
But I mean, it is, and to back up slightly, the dad does say like, hey, this is not top of the line. This is it. Oh, can you, hypothetically, could you share this? No. They actually have their own version of the Prime Directive. We cannot give this medical technology out to anybody. It stays with us. Right. And so is he grumpy? Yeah, the guy was kind of a dick, but you see his character change a little bit. Mm-hmm. But in our universe of the Federation, this is the flagship. Yeah, this is a state-of-the-art medical facility.
Yeah.
As we know it.
Let's see. Wait, only Singh and a cadet beamed down to investigate a whole ship? A cadet that isn't even a security officer? This is ridiculous.
She was in a security role.
There probably in reality should have been a few more, but it is what it is. Lesson 3, let your tricorder do the investigating. Dude, you didn't even scan for life forms from the ship, so back off.
He's right.
Not wrong. Not wrong at all.
No. And let's we can play with it and go, well, maybe they did. That's why they only sent down 2, but I'm not gonna make that excuse. You're 100% on the money. Should have been 4 minimum being sent down, and they should have scanned for it, or they get out there and that's the first thing they do. I'm not seeing any life forms. Let's go investigate. But they didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Singh literally has investigated a single hallway of a massive crash site, yet determines the site to be secure. Really, did the inhabitants of this craft just vanish? Someone or clearly something has clearly wiped the database. Yeah, no, I'm just some of this stuff I'm going to chalk. I mean, not wrong, absolutely right, but it's episodic. We're dealing with one episode, and it is kind of I'm not going to. I mean, and that's really the only excuse that I'm going to give it is that, it is only one episode. They only have so much time to tell a story. We're not going to get all the information, but you would think that they would have at least gone into another room or down a second hallway.
Right.
Even if it was rehashing that same set. Yeah. I don't know.
You would think.
Yeah. Alora and Spock were just waiting outside then. Were these knuckleheads not concerned that assailants might have also fled outside?
Not necessarily. To me, they're taking out, you've got your point, and then you've got your rear guard, and they're rear guarding to make sure if somebody does run out or somebody does come up to get to it, they've got coverage versus getting caught like they do in the next episode. Yeah.
Alora suspects that one of her gods has gone turncoat. So they do have guards, and these guards don't think to, guard the first servant 2 days before Stone Ascension. These Magellans are not smart. No, not wrong.
No argument.
Not wrong at all. Good point.
No argument.
The Enterprise gets Alora back to her homework. Lickety split. I guess those studies this first servant was looking forward to wasn't a priority for his ascension after all. I got the impression that he was on the planet doing studies and he was transporting over his ascension.
Yeah, that's how I understood it as well.
Yeah. Spock asked for a private moment with daddy servant dude, and despite this, doesn't distance himself far away enough to keep the first servant from hearing his conversation. Oh, Spock, you old knucklehead, you. Okay, well, how many times have have you just in real life pulled somebody aside, not been far away enough, or even on TV, they pull somebody aside and have a conversation with them 2 feet away from the people that are not supposed to hear the conversation. It's a television show. Like even watching Voyager, they get like in this little square screen that they have, they get really close when they talk to people.
I mean, I'm not sure if they get that close because I feel like this is kind of normal to do this, to have that conversation.
But I'm like, if this is one person's head and I'm talking like, it's like, this, it's like, do they not understand social distancing? And I know, I totally get it. They're trying to fit this scene into a little square screen and not show, and not show their feet. It's like, like from here on up. But that does go through my mind going, God, they're way too close to have that conversation. But then again, it's a TV show. They're filming within the constraints that they're doing. Let's see. Where was I? Spock has a no. Okay. It's a good thing that there are only 5 Magellan guards to inspect. This should take 2 minutes.
I think he gave a minute and 30 seconds too much.
Yeah.
But
no, another good point. I don't honestly get a couple other stand-ins. Yeah. Like make it look like there's actually a real guard.
And it may have been a budgetary issue, right? I mean,
essentially,
but yeah, you got 5 guys. This is the elite guard. Give me 20. Yeah. Just give me 20 guys. Line them all up. And then have the third one go running and okay, cool. We don't have to interview everybody. But yeah, 5 guys. That gives me no reason for them not to have been on the ship. Yeah. No reason not to have been guarding this guy from word 1. Right. But somebody in the writing room didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yes, the old I've been discovered, so I'm going to run then shoot instead of the old shoot then run away shtick. Right. Too bad he couldn't have smoked Alora considering she was standing in front of him. E.T. knucklehead.
Again?
No, I'm not wrong. And yeah, there are some things that this is feeding. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest episode ever, but no. Some of this, I just go, oh, okay, because I know it's a trope. So I don't worry about it. Okay, looking at these Keystone cops chasing this dude, LOL. Yeah, it was a chase scene. Exactly. Why doesn't this dude shoot the guy in the gold shirt that's running directly towards him? Oof, there was no better way to choreograph this. Were they losing daylight or something? Haha, Pike, it's not on stun. Would this dude even know what that threat means? Okay, so watching the chase scene with the way that he was holding his gun staff or whatever it was, and him running, and then Pike running towards him, at least the way that they shot the scene, I don't think he would have been able to react fast enough to shoot Pike. So
I default to the 21-foot rule.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's not on stun. Okay. That actually is kind of legit. I mean, we don't know we might assume that the guy knows what it means. That's probably how they were writing it, but yeah, you're right. Maybe the guy doesn't know. I don't know. That's hilarious. It seems that this alien world also builds the same detached and semi-detached style homes you'd see in Toronto from 100 years ago, assuming the house in the backyard is any indication. I read that and I rewatched kind of that scene that it's set in. I didn't see anything. So obviously he's seeing something and I didn't. So Alora stabs the dude in the armpit, for which all I know is the groin region of this alien species. So I thought it was more the chest.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Yeah. and he was bleeding a lot. So I think he looks down and be like, "Oh, where's the guy? Did he die?" Well, when you stab somebody and they bleed a lot on TV, you kind of assume they're dead. Let's see. Oh, Uhura eats like a pig because she's in a rush. What was established at the first part of the episode? There are no breaks.
Yeah. Rule number 2.
Yeah. Right? And so, and you and I have talked about this offline.
Yeah.
You know, if you're between evolutions and you're in the military and it's like, okay, you stood in line for 20 minutes to get your food, but you only have 30 minutes for lunch. You're going to suck that stuff down. Like even when I was working security, we didn't get paid for lunch. So it was, we got lunch, we ate lunch as fast as possible. And maybe during lunch, if we got a code gray call, we would be, I would take 1 or 2 bites, maybe grab something that wasn't really ooey gooey, and I would be eating it as I was running to the code. So I totally got that scene. It's not that that she doesn't have table manners. It's that she was in a rush. Yeah.
Well, and think about it this way, right? Because you bounced as well. One of the clubs I bounced at, I'm in the middle of eating a hot dog. I'm starving. I've been there for hours. I haven't eaten all day. I'm eating a hot dog from one of the hot dog carts. Bite breaks out. I got to go. I'm trying to put a couple more pieces in my mouth before I throw it in the trash can as I go. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. You don't always have the opportunity to go, I understand, but union rules say I'm allowed a 45-minute break to, it doesn't work. And when we and I talked about it, holy shit, I don't know what my camera just did there. The military side, some of my friends that are Star Trek fans were in the military, and they were like, I related to that moment so much because that was like basic. And there have been times where you roll in, by the time you sit down, you have 5 minutes to eat what's on there, throw out, put away, get done, and get out on and line up when you need to. So it's literally just, you're not tasting, you're just shoveling.
Yeah. Let's see. Hey, look, it's old Kirky boy. Last time we saw him, he was failing security lesson number 3. Okay, good point.
100%. And you and I actually,
you and I have actually talked about.
Yeah. Where the hell is he?
Where's Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we know that he's been going through security training lessons again.
Yeah. Based on the first 6 episodes of the show, I'd like to say that the entire crew have their masters in security lesson 6. What was security lesson 6?
I don't remember that one.
I can't remember that one. So did the guard dude die? Is there some reason why we're not questioning him right now? Maybe we learned the extent of his coup. I'm pretty sure that he died. That was my comment.
Or he was turned over to the authorities, and that's outside of our pay grade for the TV series.
Right. Okay. Pike insists that he'll put, quote, a guard out in front of Alora's residence. Sorry, what? A guard? Didn't she just tell you that such an act wouldn't be allowed? Or are we now to believe that Pike is going to give orders to their local guards? Sorry, guard? Okay, so I didn't get the fact that he insisted. He was just like, they were talking. She said, I can't trust anybody.
Right.
So he says, I'll just post a guard. I'm going to assume he's talking about one of his own guards.
Yeah.
And she says, no, you don't have to. And then she seduces him into bed. that
didn't take much at all.
Yeah.
It wouldn't for me either, but that's not the point.
Alora looks at Pike straight in the eyes and says, you can come in with me instead. Suddenly starting to get the feeling that Pike has heard her say this before.
And last time he probably didn't take up on it.
Yeah. A topless Pike reminds me that I'm so far removed from the what a human body looks like. LOL. This guy's arms are harder than his hair. Seriously, look at that helmet. It hasn't moved an inch. I mean, the helmet on his shoulders. Get your mind out of the gutter.
The best hairspray in the Federation.
I know.
Done.
I love that because, yeah, it's true. Like,
It's like the memes that have Pike's Peak, and they extend up his hair in Photoshop, so he's got this freaking massive eraser head style haircut.
Yeah,
same thing. Just he's got that stoic look. But yeah, best hairdo. I
just thought that was so hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's see. Isn't there like a plot to murder the first servant or something? But sure, let's make time for Whoopi and pillow talk about all the fun Pike is going to have when he melts his face in a decade. Well, here's the thing: is that Pike is on the planet. Mm-hmm. He's for all he knows, the kid is in sick bay, perfectly safe. So, yeah, why not get laid?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He probably said no last time, or I can't last time. This time he's like, I ain't missing this opportunity.
Let's see. The Magellan's Way includes science, service, and sacrifice. I'm not exactly sure which of these Alora would use to determine the fun that they just had, but I'm confident that there was a Pike maneuver for each of them.
Yes.
It interested, like, it's funny, like these points that he's putting down. It's like my mind didn't go there.
No, but I like it. Yep. There's definitely a Pike maneuver for all three of those. You're right.
Yeah. Uhura being giddy and wide-eyed again like she was in the first episode. I'm guessing these episodes were filmed or written out of broadcast order. Regardless, Uhura is the most inconsistently written character on the show. At least she's addressed Singh as Sir. I honestly wasn't sure how they would maintain this appropriate paramilitary speech. I dig it. So the way that she's giddy because she figured something out.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm not going to tell the captain. You tell the captain. And Singh is like, no. You figured it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, regardless of how, as you go through these different departments, like she's in security, but her security person was like, hey, you're the linguist, figure these out. So she figured out something. She was doing something that she loved. And yeah, I figured it out. She was excited about it.
I also don't agree on the consistency. I think she has consistently grown as she goes through these experiences.
Absolutely.
And the truth is, whether she addressed Nguyen Sung as sir or ma'am, both are correct.
Yeah.
From a military standpoint.
Yeah. Mbanga discovers the first servant playing alongside his daughter. If only this big old sickbay had some staff to keep an eye on the little booger, perhaps a nurse, or better yet, maybe the nurse could have fetched his plate of food. Yeah, I mean,
nothing.
Yeah, it's because the father's asleep. There's the kid, but yeah, where is the rest of the staff? I totally agree. Absolutely agree.
Nurse Chapel also ran down to check some poles out on the planet.
Yeah. Let's see. Daddy servant dude heard some noises. Might be the worst, most laughable excuse for writing a character into a scene that I've ever heard. I actually laughed out loud at this. Oh, writers, you knuckleheads. Watching that, I heard some noise. I don't disagree. Yeah. I mean, they had to write him into the scene.
Right. But they could have come up with something better.
Yeah. A better line. Let's see. So why exactly is this offshoot of Magellan Society a bad thing? Because Alora never told Pike about it? Who cares? No, it's a bad thing because this is what my thing is, because the language was found from the crash.
Yeah.
Like the crash site, these were the people that were attacking Alora and the kid, and they had the same language.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a bad thing, because this offshoot could be people. Yeah. Because they're the terrorists. Mm-hmm. Pike thinks that the non-Starfleet transporter beam was Kyle transporting the first servant and daddy servant dude. Well, I guess I can't entirely blame him, considering the writers wrote such a ridiculous line that probably forced the the VFX team to illustrate a beam that looked like a Starfleet beam. No, I can blame the captain for not knowing the difference. I didn't even see the difference in the beam. They even use the same sound. Like,
and each transporter typically has a different sound from,
and honestly, visual. I really like the sound, like, because they're using the same sound that they had in the cage. Yep. And I was like, okay, what a great callback.
Yes.
But of course it's going to look a little bit different because,
better graphics,
better special effects. But I was like, it looked the same to me. That was actually my comment. It looked the same to me. I didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
So let's see. Is it inconceivable that this vessel would appear out of nowhere before the Enterprise would be alerted of it approaching? These writers need a lesson on sensors immediately. Yeah. The only thing that I would explain this away would be that the ship literally like warped out, stopped, did the beam, and then tried to get away. Okay.
But alternatively, and kind of his point, there have been a lot of episodes previously into other shows where it's, so we're showing a ship coming out of warp right on top of it. I mean, it builds. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it is one where I agree with the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally, someone on this show realizes the Enterprise has sensors capable of detecting life, and the kind of life that it is. It's a miracle. If only Spock would inform Singh of this revolutionary technology, she might have assessed whether or not life forms were on the crash site earlier. I've lost track of how many times this show has neglected their sensor leading up to this moment.
Rule number 32 in security. I'm security. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah. Or, what was it that Reagan used to say? We used to say it all the time. That not believe but verify.
Yes.
But it was trust but verify.
Yep.
So even if they had sensors, they would still go down there and put eyeballs on it. So, okay. Pike suddenly remembers the ship has a tractor beam. Again, a technology that has been ignored until now. That could have been used several instances of Strange New Worlds, including the ship that Uhura shot earlier. No, putting a tractor beam on the ship that Uhura shot earlier, that was not a priority to use a tractor beam. Even during the fight and even after she shot, because they're going to focus on the other ship. The cruiser is the second consecutive vessel that the Enterprise destroys due to poor captaincy and incompetent crew members. Perhaps there's a reason why Mitchell hasn't been seen on the bridge since the first episode. But Pike should have had anyone other than Uhura use phasers to disable the warp engines of the fleeing vessel. He's really harping on this Uhura thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I watched that scene rewatched the scene a couple times. So, and also because of the second one where Pike doesn't immediately reprimand Mitchell for her incompetence or ask for a detailed explanation of why the tractor beam failed to disengage. So first of all, it's called shock. And he did actually say, because Spock says, because the ship's trying to go to warp. If we have them if we've got the tractor beam on them, they'll blow up or whatever he said. And he says, okay, let's do, take off the things. She took them off. And then like a half a second after the tractor beam was taken off, it blows up. So I really didn't blame the tractor beam on that at all.
Yeah.
Like they were like, oh, they realized something was happening and they're like, okay, then stop it. And then and so even if we did blame it on the tractor beam, once Spock said, hey, if we continue this, we're going to destroy the ship. And he was like, okay, then stop it. And Mitchell stops it. And of course he doesn't be like, why did this happen? Because it was the shocked look. It was, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Because who was supposedly on the ship? The kid. Okay. I appreciate that the director thought having the bridge crew stand at attention look cool, but all I see are a bunch of consoles being left unattended. For all they know, 100 more ships that just arrived to target them. Excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent point. They're all standing there. I'm really sorry. Yeah. Pike classifies the loss of the first servant as having, quote, symbolic significance. Naturally, this dismissive attitude leaves Allura irate. Yet another instance where we see Pike completely out of touch when it comes to the cultural differences of an alien race. Pike continues to be a bigot and bad at his job. Well, I thought it was established in the episode that they didn't know a lot.
Correct.
That they were not Federation, that they wanted them to join the Federation, but they refused. And I don't know if the term was used at all, but they are a xenophobic society. So they don't really want outsiders. So of course he's not going to understand. And he's like, it's like, look, I'm really sorry. And I understand that this was a symbolic significance, but I don't think that he's being bigoted at all. I think that he's trying to understand, but he doesn't.
And I think that,
and it could be, and it might just be out of ignorance, but here's the thing. How it's not because he's a bigot, and if he doesn't know anything about a society, even if he's read everything that the Federation has on the society, he still doesn't understand the significance of this little kid ascending.
Well, and I think that's the thing. Let's call it what it is. He's not ascending, he's being murdered. And
no, but we don't know that yet.
Well, right. But the implication that this child is going to be doing something beyond it's, and Star Trek has established before that realistically, all the human commanders typically do see things through a human lens or through the Federation lens. So it's more out of a personal code of morality than I would call bigoted. But that also could be construed to being bigoted because it's your perspective, nobody else's matters. So it's not that I will say, in my opinion, it's not that I disagree with this point fully. I just don't agree with it fully because I don't think that was the intention of what was going on.
Now, we do actually have one person viewing on YouTube. So I don't know if it's this guy and he's just
Michael, if it's you, buddy, comment. We've been talking about you. Some good, some bad, some in between.
All good. We agree on some points and we disagree on other points, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But whoever is viewing at this time, please put in the comments. We'd like to know who you are. Please say hi.
I'm making sure it's not my YouTube that's still on.
Huh?
I said I'm making sure my YouTube's not still on. Oh. It wasn't because I was looking at the last post. Remember his name?
Let's see. The explanation for why Daddy Servant Dude is a turncoat is absolutely ridiculous. Uhura discovery is circumstantial at best, but bad writing has to wrap crap up soon. So I'm guessing all that's left is for us to learn that Allura has been hiding something all along before the credit roll on this clunker. But this expositionary dialogue from Singh in front of a suspect, no less, is painful. Maybe it wasn't written that well.
No.
Yeah, and now I call somebody out on being, and now we don't have anybody watching, but that's okay. I don't know. I watched this. I didn't see anything wrong.
Right.
But it is circumstantial. I mean, they were playing a hunch, but it's they're trying to wrap it up. I mentioned this early on before we went live. Why is Deck 17 so full of junk littering the corridor? Shouldn't the stuff be stored in the cargo bay, or was it that set not complete before this episode was filmed? I don't think it was a set not complete, but why is there shit in the corridor?
It's a good question.
That's a really good question.
Because it's not like we see that without an explanation in any other Trek ever. It's, there's been a big war. We know things have been collapsed. Oh, look, the hallway's collapsed. Cool. This is unless it's damage from them getting hit twice, but I'm pretty sure they went, Are we good? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's something they probably wrote in and cut out.
Yeah. So this is a good thing that the coup organized, or this is a good thing. What the coup organizers didn't, have some more than one guard on the surface or 2 vessels in their fleet. Otherwise, they might use this opportunity to quickly transport this first servant away again, especially when their vessels successfully sneak up on the Enterprise as easily as they do. I'm thinking that this is probably on the surface, when they're on the surface and the kid is waving at everybody.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there we have it. The old love interest who isn't telling you everything trope. So creative, so original. These writers are knuckleheads.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. Wait, this is the brig? This is the worst design of a brig I've ever seen. You have to literally walk into the same room as the prisoner in order to speak with them. Who thought this was a good idea? Sure hope he doesn't, stab Una in the throat. I didn't notice it in the beginning, but when I was rewatching it, I was like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one big room. Like, there's no, like, even in the original series where they had the brig and the little lights in, but then you had the little ante room that you walk into before the actual like cell bay. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing. This is
maybe that's what all that trash in Deck 17 is they're actually building out the brig because everyone was like, hey, this is a bad idea, and they're like, good point. They started it, union break, they stopped.
Absolutely, Una, sit next to the prisoner. Wonderful. Maybe you two can hug after each other next. Yes, he's a prisoner, but they just found his kid.
Yeah.
He is so he's really not, like, they put him in the brig because they thought that he stole his kid and his kid was dead, but he was actually saving his kid. And she was being compassionate. Yeah. Now, is it the smartest thing to sit down next to somebody who is at? Probably not, but I don't know. Una is a pretty badass bitch. So
she is, and we've established a lot of her abilities. But I think the way I saw that moment was it was empathetic, and it's not so much that he's a prisoner as being detained.
Right.
So that kind of changes the security level as well. And I don't know. I mean, I get the point. I don't disagree with it fully because, again, from a security standpoint, I get you. But I have friends that are cops that have done that with guys that they probably shouldn't have, but they sit next to them. Hey, are you good? Well, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It happens. Situational.
First servant wants Pike to be there when he ascends. I think I'm starting to get the feeling that the writers of the show haven't watched Foundation over on Apple TV Plus. A much better science fiction show, by the way. Can't you just smell the lack of originality coming? Do they not know that we humans also watch other television shows, or do they think that do they think it's just that they do that? So I can't.
You're good.
Yeah. So, anyway, and I was like, this is my comment. Trope. Star Trek is full of them. Mm-hmm. Plus I also have another writer is claiming that they stole the idea. So I saw an article, and I can't remember. There's this apparently a famous science fiction writer who's written a bunch of stuff. Don't know if it's a dude or a gal. I think by the name I would guess gal, but I could be wrong. Anyway, the whole storyline of this was of a kid, basically a society using a kid to power their floating cities. Was actually a book, like a short story this person wrote, or a book this person wrote. And they pretty much, like, Star Trek completely just stole the idea from them. So
I mean, That's when you wait for the lawsuit.
Yeah.
But and I think it Shakespeare. It said that all the greatest stories have already been told.
Yeah.
It's we can look at, again, goes back to why we call them tropes, or why we say we pay homage to things. Sometimes it's because we didn't have a better idea. That'll work.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a point that I don't think either of us are really going to dispute. It's just, that's just TV. Hey, TJ.
Hey, TJ. The show has gone on way longer than I expected, but we are.
I've been actually firing back emails while we're talking. I'm like checking emails. I got to make a call when we get done, but it's to a team member, so it's okay.
Let's see. We're almost finished.
Yeah.
The look on Spock's face is priceless when number one asks, "You're saying that there's no way to contact the captain exactly when I need to talk to him?" If you look closely, you can almost see Ethan Peck wondering why the writing is so contrived too. Why don't you just fly the ship into the lower atmosphere like you did in episode 1? Knuckleheads. Okay. Is it me, or does this set look like the same one used in Discovery season 4 finale? I don't know.
I'd have to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah.
But it's possible.
But then again, I haven't seen season 4, so I don't know. We finally get the big reveal, and shocker, it's a big shocker. Long live the first servant. Seems a little bit cruel though. Yep.
Kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Pike tries to stop the ritual he knows nothing about, and thus continues to demonstrate his dismal aptitude, and his captaincy is rife with equal parts of ignorance and arrogance. Just like you said before, we look at it from a human perspective. He looks at it from a human perspective. And how many times has Kirk done that?
Yeah, that's mainly what Kirk would do.
I mean, so a guard finally knocks out Pike instead of incinerating him on the spot. If they killed him, then the Federation would come down on them.
No, well, now they
earn themselves a second coin. Don't spend it all in one place. Okay. Pike is straight up a bigot. Instead of understanding the alien culture, or at least trying to, he chastises their whole civilization for what he perceives to be barbarism.
So that goes back to humanism, right? And we look at our children from a different perspective, especially at this moment. Yeah. So I would be doing the same thing. I think anybody would be doing the same thing in that moment. It's not an issue of, I can't believe you're doing this. I think I took it more as an issue of, I can't believe you can't get past this. I can't believe with all the technology and everything you have not found something else, and you are living on this archaic, brutal sacrifice for the betterment. And I think it was the morality of the situation versus the situation that he was upset with. Exactly. And it's already been established that there are some people who have left the society because they didn't want to put up with the society. So, our world is, our planet. It's like, leave the fucking planet, because she says, we've been trying for years to find an alternative, but we haven't been able to find one. You had a sect of people leave, and they started another colony. Yep. Once you go, we don't want to kill any more kids. We can't live here. So let's move. Right. But then again, you do have a lot of and this might be a talking point on, maybe it's one of those where, even in our own cultures, there are some cultures that, treat women a certain way, sure, or kids a certain way, and other parts of us, don't like that. But then again, wait a minute. In those cultures where they're like, I don't like being treated like that, or I don't like the way you treat that, so they leave that culture and move somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I guess I was trying to legitimize them staying there, but I just talked myself out of it. Pike talks to his communicator. Now, number one, was she just like sitting there for hours on end waiting for this exact phrase? Wait, for real, show? My goodness, he beams up in like a second, meaning the distortion effect
the distortion affecting the atmosphere has already been dissipated, meaning the Enterprise should have been able to reach him for quite some time before this moment, meaning Pike's unresponsiveness would absolutely resort to a response from the Enterprise, or does Singh not have a number on her list for rescue captain?
I mean,
oh my, what a badly written sequence this turned out to be. Not to mention, what if Una was, I don't know, in the bathroom or sleeping or signing on the hull again? But nope, we get now number one, brutal. Yeah, no, that was right.
All episode, we're like, you can't talk to him. There's a disbursement field. Can't get a hold of anybody. Can't do this. Can't do that. Now, done. I mean, it's like, I literally watched that too. That was the one complaint. It didn't, because I was so into the whole episode. But when you start hitting them point by point, it makes you think different. I sat there and went, yeah, how the fuck did that happen? Why is it not like, I guess I'm gonna leave. I guess we'll get you a shuttle. It's cool. Yeah. I've already fixed it and upgraded it.
Yeah. Why is this prisoner walking around the Enterprise freely and without security flanking him? Oh, right. Because the crew on this ship is incompetent and the writers don't know what they're doing. And we need this scene to be between him and Mbanga.
Yeah.
Okay. So, not a prisoner.
Detained.
Because his son's already plugged into the planet.
Nothing they can do.
It was established that he was asking for transport to this other colony. And another point that I pointed out several times, why do people who are not part of Starfleet just to get to randomly walk the halls of the Enterprise? Happened in TOS more than once. Oh yeah. And in the Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say that's a typical Star Trek trope.
Well, and so let's to kind of tag on that, right?
Yeah.
Just because I've been watching Voyager, we see that in Vis-a-Vis. We see that just kind of walking around, no security. Mm-hmm. But the only line that they put in there was they've locked this person out, or should have locked this person out of computer control. Right. So in their heads, egotistical or not, going, they can walk around. They can't do shit. And of course, we all know that that's not true, and they do a lot of stuff. So I completely agree that is a weird thing.
Let's see. All right. So last point. The episode ends with Pike longingly staring out into the Magellan system. 10 years ago, he saved a woman that looked like E.T. Today, he falls for and beds this woman. So I'm guessing that 10 years from now, this woman will inform a wounded Pike that their own son has been chosen as the next first servant. But before this boy can use his gifts to cure Pike, Pike is indeed cured and gets to know the son that he never knew about as long enough to witness his own ascension, leaving the Pike cured physically but forever scarred emotionally. You're welcome, bad writers.
No, that made sense.
None of that made. I put a big question mark.
Yeah, I mean, unless they established in the get-go, our women are pregnant for 10 years. I understand what he was trying to say, right? He's just kind of like,
well, not pregnant for 10 years. I mean, she got pregnant, and then 10 years from now, he has, a
10-year-old kid, right? So I mean, that's feasible. But I don't know about any additional parts. I think, to be honest, I think they're going to continue on with the actual Trek core mythos, and when Pike's done. But I hope that's not for a while, because while I understand why he feels, and I disagree, but why he feels Pike's an inept captain, I really do like the character. I like the show. I like the majority of the writing. Again, this episode this week, horrible in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
But you're gonna have good ones, you're gonna have bad ones, and some people are gonna love it, some people are gonna hate it. He might come back and go, "This is actually a really good episode. What are you guys talking about?" I don't know, but no, I mean, like you and I've talked about offline. He's got some really good points. He does, and some of the stuff that we disagreed with, it wasn't. We understood where he's coming from, and we had a different viewpoint. Or, hey, there's this one thing you didn't see that we did. That's the benefit of this kind of interaction, right?
Right.
Here's all of his first view points. Boom, 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 boom. We get to go back, watch it with those points, and go, Yes, I get it. No, I disagree with it.
Hey, there's so much detail in here. This couldn't have been a first viewing. No. But a lot of it, some of it, I go, God, he's just really nitpicking. But then again,
it's okay.
We do that. Okay. It's okay. All right.
We can get that over Orville. 375 reasons why this episode was the worst ever.
Oh my gosh. So, okay. I need to do
that one.
This one. No.
The other one. There we go.
That one. Okay. All right. So upcoming shows. So on the 22nd, we have part 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the final episode. Still mixed feelings about it going on to a second season.
If it does, it's not confirmed.
If it does and they do it well, I like it. But first of all, we have to see how this series ends, so that we know, are we going to get, would a second one be necessary? We get on the 23rd, the next day, we get the Orville episode 4. Honestly, I'll watch it, but I'm really not looking forward to it. Like, there's nothing really going, oh, this is going so well, we need to do this. And then Strange New Worlds episode 8. So we're coming to the end. Just a few more episodes and we'll be at the end of the 10 episode run. So we'll see where this goes. Hopefully it'll be better than yesterday's episode. And then of course,
can only go up from yesterday's episode.
And then of course we have all the other stuff that's listed. I don't have any new information to add to that. So so there you go. Oh, we'll do that. Hey. So okay. Well, this has been quite a ride. 2
hours, 16 minutes.
Now, mind you, an hour of it was this, but I wanted to go through it just because it was extremely detailed. He shared a lot of detailed stuff.
He did. And again, Michael, thank you for that. We hope you continue to interact, because we do want to interact with you, man. I mean, you had some good points. You had some funny points. And we both enjoyed the conversation you created with us. And we're able to kind of hopefully create with you.
Yeah. So, okay. It is Father's Day weekend. So, Sunday's Father's Day. So, Rob, I hope you have a good Father's Day. I hope
you do the same, my friend.
I'm hoping that all fathers out there don't get trophy gifts such as ties or sweaters, or in my case, t-shirts. I already have enough. I will be spending my Father's Day in Puyallup at SummerCon, at Washington SummerCon, having my chest signed by Captain Kirk. No, I'm not going to have my chest signed by him. I saw what I was joking about that. Have a 90-year-old. It's not every day that a 90-year-old guy signs a 50-year-old guy's chest. And then somebody was like, well, what would you do with that? I was like, there's a tattoo shop right down the street, right down the 4 doors down from me. I'd go in and be like, Joe, tattoo this right now.
I can guarantee you, Mish, if you walk around the floor, there's somebody on the floor doing tattoos. Yeah. I have seen it at cons where people will get autographed on them, go straight to the tattoo. They'll just go on top of it. It's like $40. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
They come back and they're like, look, I just did this.
Yeah.
I have seen it more times than I can count.
So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to have him sign. I do have a first edition Making of Star Trek book that I've had other actors sign. So it would just make sense that he would sign in there. But I kind of want to have him sign something else. But I don't know if the $120 I'm paying for his signature is for just one signature.
Yeah.
But I will give him a copy of my neck pinch book. And then I don't know. I might, one of my thoughts is actually having him sign one of my neck pinch books. That would be awesome.
It would be cool.
Yeah.
Or so even cooler if you had him write a forward for it, because he sees it and goes, oh, this is cool. Flips through, I should write a forward for this.
Well, I am
Free Enterprise 2.
I am. Well, see, that was the other thing. Do because I have a standard DVD and the special edition DVD for Free Enterprise. Do I have him sign the cover of that?
That's me.
No, that would just be
there's so much right with that, in my opinion. But again, $120. Do you go with everybody else's or do you go with a standalone? And I'd almost bring both. I don't bring both and go, hey, this has got everybody else's signatures in it. This is a copy of Free Enterprise. Which one would you like to sign? Since I can only have one, and let him pick.
Or just be like, yeah, I'll sign both.
He might. Like,
I would love that.
There you go.
Okay. So TJ says, my son is getting a car for my Father's Day. LOL. I might be getting the Oculus Quest 2. Is that the
Virtual,
VR thing? Yeah. I like tech. I can't go that tech. I'm not ready for Ready Player One world.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until there's actually the full dive. Like I can sit in a chair, lay back, and it might be completely encased in either a virtual world or we have holographic technology. I'll wait.
Yeah,
I tried them. They made me sick. I did the hamster wheel in Vegas, and got a lot of bumps and bruises because the guy's like, "Run, man, run! You're running out of time. Run!" So I'm running, and I'm not realizing because in the world I'm in a world, and it's this giant hamster wheel. It's a giant globe, and so when I got up to cover and I stopped because I'm getting close to this guy I'm supposed to, these aliens supposed to shoot. I stopped, take cover. He's like, "Oh wait, no, don't stop." Well, I stopped in game. But my body kept flipping over and over and over and over. And there was two guys that were like grabbing onto the hamster wheel, trying to stop it as it's kind of pulling them over because I booked it. I was like, whoops. Now I see why the military decommissioned the hamster wheel and went to the treadmill system.
Yeah. I actually, not that I actually did not like the 3D movies because I actually get a headache.
Yep, same here.
So
viral spasms.
TJ, yeah, we are Trek nerds, and he's a tech nerd. Well, hey, everybody's got their nerddom.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna keep you any longer today. In fact, in this talk, I actually missed a podcast I wanted to watch, but it's pre-recorded, so I'll go back and watch it. But Rob, thank you.
Of course.
Look forward to talking with you again next Friday about the new stuff coming out. Anyway, so if you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, all that kind of stuff, do that. And hit the button. TJ, we love you too. TJ, are you going to be in, because you signed in late, I am actually going to be in Indiana in September. So I don't know if you're going to go to Indiana in September or not, but I will be there. And if the school's making enough money, I will also be in Jacksonville. But all I have the money to pay for right now is Indiana.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, thank you for tuning in and peace out.